Hello, Hilary DeCesare. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Welcome.
Kathy, so good. And I'm so excited to think about where this conversation's going.
I am too. First of all, you have such an impressive background. I can't even summarize it like correctly, I'm sure, because you've done so much as a leader in the business world. Can you give us a short summary? It might take you however long you need, but
Okay, so if I flip that back at you, can you give me a short summary of all that you've done? You'd be like, all I can say, let's just like net it out to what people really care about. All right. And that is, I have been coaching, I've been working with people directly for over 20 plus years. I have all my experience came out of the Silicon Valley from a corporate high tech, the big, massive Oracle, and was there almost, like I said, 10 years. But that really evolved into this ReLaunch, which is my company that I have now. I've had multiple startups, have raised tens of millions of dollars and done all these great things with startups. But the thing that I'm most passionate about is when I lost my passion. and
oh,
I and I have a company called ReLaunch, the ReLaunch Co, and it's really designed to help spark who you know you were meant to be so that you can ignite a life that you really are proud of, that you, when people are like, Hilary, I thought I'd be further along at this point, I thought my company would be, a 7 and 8 a 9-figure business, it's not there. I literally can say, all right, so we've had not a midlife crisis, because I do deal with a lot of people that in the mid zone, I call it, because the mid zone is, maybe we're Gen Xers and we're kind of we're in that spot. But it's not these people that say, hey, I've had a midlife crisis. It's usually 95% around identity
mm,
crisis. It's this point
hmm.
of you kind of wake up and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, where am I? This is like, remember that song? And this just came to me, and this is what I do too. Remember, it's not my life. That's not my beautiful wife. Remember that song? And
Hmm.
I kind of woke up one day and I thought, I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well, but I'm really not happy. And I'm wearing all
Yes.
these different masks. I have my business mask, I've got my mommy mask, I've got 3 kids. I was currently, in my first marriage and had my wife mask on. And I ended up after this whole big, what am I really doing, realizing and getting separated and divorced and finding the love of my life, who I'm married to now and been together for 10 years. And now I'm a stepmom of 2 other kids. So add that to the Brady Bunch mix. But it all fell into place with what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And when I think about the company that I have created, it's been a company out of necessity. I had so many relaunches that were these transitions that you had a choice. Either you're going to move forward or it's going to pull you further back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm going backwards. I'm going forwards. And so that's really, where I am now. I've been doing this for about 4 years, but I say that kind of with this like smile because I've really been doing this my whole life. I mean,
Mhm.
this is what has lit me up, and just it is what ignites me. And
Mhm.
I laugh because I'm looking in the image in my picture that we're looking at right now, and there's my book, which is Relaunch Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life.
Mhm.
And there is this incredible like openness when all of a sudden you realize that if somebody else has it, you absolutely 100% can have it too. So I kind of
Mm.
look at it like, all right, I see it, so I can be it too.
Yes, I love that. It's like Julia Cameron says, jealousy is a roadmap. It's a roadmap for yourself. You're like, if you're jealous or envious or however polite word you want to say it, it means like you can have that too. There's something there for you if you want it.
Right. completely. And, it's really interesting. We know that Jimmy Buffett just passed this last weekend. And my first song at my first wedding was actually Come Monday. And I've always been a huge fan. And he had this great quote that, life shouldn't be a surprise party, right? It should
Mm.
be, and it's more of, I talk about it more of this idea of this treasure map, and he calls it a scavenger hunt. Like, let life be a scavenger hunt and not this surprise party. And I'm like, God, I love that. And I
Oh,
really
that's
think that, that's kind of what I really want people to just open their eyes to. And you and I talked before, and you've got such an incredible, esteemed career in your coaching business. And it's nice when two, especially two women like us, come together and we're like, we realize these days that the collaboration is so much more important in the connection, right? And I really see every single day how people, women especially, Gen X women especially, which, I'm like, that is my sweet spot, that they really, it's time. It's like anything is possible. It really is.
mm,
But
mm,
it's what holds us back that we have to get rid of. And what we holds us back is our, as we discuss these limiting beliefs, I call them bugs, beliefs underground surfacing. These
mm.
bugs show up. And if you ever, go down to your kitchen or get in your kitchen and you see that one ant in the, beginning of like before you're about to go to bed, and you're like, oh, there's that ant. You just squish it. And in the morning, you come down and it's like, yikes, like what the hell just happened? It's the bugs. They give you a little indication they're there. And then they just like come in, and there's the dark black lines in your kitchen. You're like, oh my gosh, what did I leave out? What didn't I clean up? And it's kind of that idea. What didn't you clean up? And let's
Yes.
kind of go towards that path of, it's time. Like, there's
Wow.
only one life here. You only got one shot. You gotta, let's keep it, tidy and organized for at least, the next chapters, right?
Yes.
Let's like make it happen for us.
Yes. So talking about limiting beliefs, because I think that is such a huge issue for people. And what I find so often, and I know for myself before I started, coaching work, it's hard to always know what they are, right? Sometimes we have these limiting beliefs. We have no idea we're carrying those. What is your tip or advice to listeners how to start becoming aware of what beliefs are holding you back?
So I love that you said that, because up until, I really got into the science behind it, I thought, oh, okay, emotional blocks. I understand, that there are emotions that come up, and, I feel it when that person walks in the room, or why does that person just get to me?
Yeah.
And when I started to dive deeper into it, you don't know your own blind spots. There's a reason they're called blind spots. And without somebody like a coach or a mentor or an advisor kind of helping you along and being willing to actually let you know about it, because there's a lot of yes people out there too. But when you find someone that will actually say, hey, we have, this issue, we've got, there's something going on. And I always like to say, we all have bugs. I've met one person who said, I have none of them. I have no bugs. I've been working on myself forever. That was the direct quote. And I had to just smile to myself and say, okay, blind spot, but okay. But people that work for you have bugs. And wouldn't
Mm,
it be nice to be able to identify what bugs they have? And the way I look at these bugs, these beliefs underground surfacing, is that we have limiting beliefs and we have empowering beliefs, right? There's times where like, hey, I just love doing this. I'm really good at this. And digging into that as well, because a lot of times we go for the negative, right? We've got, just read a book on this. So it's 6,250 thoughts that we have per day, 85% of those are negative, hardwired to be negative. So when people say, oh, you've got limiting beliefs, oh, that must be a limiting belief. A lot of times we look at that as a real negative, where in fact, if we can identify our limiting beliefs, we are already on the road to allowing that to become an empowering belief. The fact that you're
100.
open, the fact that you're open to sing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't change what you don't know is a problem.
You can't. And so, Kathy, what I decided to do is I was a psychology major, and this is where it all started for me. And then I was going through a tremendous amount of relaunches and having one of my like really awful, I was getting a divorce. I had been diagnosed with melanoma. My couple of my kids were having some real issues. There were just like big things happening, and I could go on and on. And someone actually asked me at one point, how many relaunches have you had? And I'm like, that's so interesting. Probably over, 30 of these significant ones. I'm like, oh my God. And then I realized, wait, I got to stop talking about all the specific relaunches, because what does that do? It promotes more of the relaunches. And I'm like, no, I'm done with the relaunches. Now I just want to help people get through them in that graceful way. But as I started to look at the empowering ones, I'm like, okay, what is the real difference in what we have going on there? The empowering ones that are also in the subconscious, and we have, we don't have to think about those as well. And I started to look at it from a funnel perspective. And what I came up with as I was doing all the research is that there are three main, I call them the queen bees, the queen bugs that we have. And pretty much all of our limiting beliefs feed into one of the three. Either I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, good enough, or I'm not safe. Those are it. I'm not safe, I'm not loved, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
when you start to look at it like that, I've just simplified the whole thing down. But
I
now
like
here's
that.
here's the thing. We've also got fears, and there's upwards of like 500 fears that have been identified. There's phobias, and now it's going more and more. And there's all these things that we start to be aware of that we're like, wait a second, I have that, and I've got that. And yeah, I kind of have that, and I sometimes do that. And so when we start to become aware, and then we have an understanding of it, then we have the knowledge to say, I want to do something about it. And why do we really want to do something about it? Because it's actually holding you back. It's holding you back from being able to manifest, to be able to hit your priorities, hit your goals, whatever you're going to call it. And so we want to be able to really look at it and say, how do I take what I've got that has been ingrained in me since potentially I was very young, and how do I change it? How do I call it the belief blaster. How do you actually blast those beliefs? And what's fascinating to me is that as I looked at the three queen bees, there's a direct correlation that you can understand when you start to focus on it, that you may be following into one category more than another. That, oh, this is really the ultimate one. And as you go into that, and it might be like, okay, let's just talk about some of the ones, like I'm just in the last 2 hours. Hilary, I think am I too old to be doing this?
Yes.
That one just gets me, because I'm like, I am so in the mid zone right now. And Brene Brown she said, midlife is 35 until you're dead. So let's just go with that. And so what can we do to make it work for us now? Right. So
Love it.
what does that really stem into? Right? Which queen bee? This idea of I'm too old for this.
I'm not good enough in some way, right? Yeah,
100%.
right. And I so agree with you. I haven't heard it put that way. And I think it's brilliant that those core things are really at the heart of so much. I'm not good enough. Yeah. And like, I'm sure you've worked with many accomplished people, and there's still a core belief around some ideas around that.
100%. So you talk about people who have money issues, right? Limiting beliefs around money. The number one which is so interesting and fascinating. The number one limiting belief that most women have is that we will become bad women. We will become bad people. Now, you could have it as a different, like, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to die alone. I'm not going to be able to, say, what if I live longer than I thought? My retirement, all these stem down to the bug of I'm not safe.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, even Oprah, and I put this in my book, Oprah said, that one of her absolute biggest fears, and so she keeps cash and quite a large amount of it, just in case, because what if? And so that all of a sudden, there's also this sense of, deep breath. All right, if she can have that, then I'm okay having the same types.
Yes.
And what I really want to say is this all stems to us having, us meaning, the collective here, that we do get caught in our head, and knowing that we have those thoughts, knowing that 85% of our thoughts are negative, it's easy to understand how we do get caught up in limiting beliefs. We do get
Yes.
caught up in the cycle. But if you think about the 60s and 70s, it was all about IQ.
Mm-hmm.
How intelligent are you? What kind of problem solver are you? Tell me the strategies, the steps, and if I get them, I'll have success.
Right.
Well then, in the late 80s
Then
and
life
90s,
happens.
yeah, the late 80s and 90s, all of a sudden we find out, wait, somebody brings up the EQ, the emotional. No. You can't have the real success unless you have the strong EQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were siloing them. IQ, EQ. I'm more EQ. Oh, women are more EQ.
Yeah.
Oh, men are more IQ. Well, then all of a sudden, Sheryl Sandberg came into the picture. And in 2013, which, by the way, can you believe, Kathy, that's been 10 years?
No, I cannot.
I just heard that the other day and I'm like, has it been? That is like a blip on the radar. But you start
and
to,
women still have to lead in. Sorry, lean in.
yes. And then we find out that the whole lean in thing doesn't work, right? And I'm sure you've got stories, I've got stories, I've got client stories, that it wasn't the answer. So during this whole period of my, all the different jobs and all the different things that I did with companies and helping others, I realized, what if that instead of just the IQ or the EQ, we really put this together as the next generation, as the, when we look at the Gen X, and you think about the wisdom that we have from the years of experience, how do we put that in as a relevant component and not just be IQ, EQ? And so years ago, I came up with something called 3HQ. And the HQ is your headquarters, yourself, right? Because you are the business of you. That's the whole thing. And when you look at the 3 H's of the 3HQ, it's the head, the heart, and the highest self. And the highest self is the best version of you. It's your wise woman. It's your intuition. And so going back to the bugs, the belief blaster, and your actual limiting beliefs, I'm often asked, where are those? Is that head? Is that heart? Is that highest self? And limiting beliefs, as your empowering beliefs, they're based in the head. They're based in the head. But as I also mentioned, emotional blocks we have that are in the heart, right? We have these emotional blocks. And then when you look at up at the highest self, that best version of you, that's when you're operating and you're in that energy level and things are in alignment and you're listening to your intuition. A lot of people hear it, but they don't listen. They don't act on it, right? And so what I realized was, what if you could actually take in that head component and blast through your limiting beliefs? So I started to do a ton of research, and I've been studying neuroscience for about 10 years, much like you, with the experts in the industry. Find the experts, and I'm like, I need to know everything I can possibly know. And then I simplify the crap out of it, because I want it to be so simple that people are like, I don't want to have to ever like re-explain. I want them to just be like,
Right.
wow, I get that. Like, I
Yeah.
get that. So I came up with this approach to actually get rid of these bugs. And the way that you do it, it's a simple 5-step process. And in the 3HQ, it's all part of trying to get aligned. And
Mhm.
so in the head, and another thing I want everyone to know, your identity resides in your head. That's where
Mm.
your identity you form. I've got this idea of who I want to be in the future. I'm going to create this persona. I'm going to live by it. But what success is when you actually bring it into the heart as well, and you
Yes.
attach the emotions behind it. That's how you start to have a closer alignment with your highest self. But going back to the belief blaster, I learned through neuroscience that in order to, people say, habits, you got to train your, habits. And they say, oh, if you do it something in 3 to 5 days. And yes, I've
Hmm.
studied under the best of the best there too. But in reality, your brain, when you think of a limiting belief, it is hardwired. And in order to break that synaptic pruning, it's called, of the actual limiting belief, it takes 62 to 67 days
Mm-hmm.
of
Hmm.
actually being like doing a process every day, 2 to 3
And,
times a day. It takes time.
and it takes time to get that rewired. I mean,
Uh,
it just doesn't happen
takes
once you bust a belief.
no,
You have to
no.
rewire it.
Well,
Yeah.
and people say, well, 21 days, right? No, 62 to 67
I
days.
have
So
never heard 62 days, but that does not
yes,
shock me. And I love
yes.
that. Yeah.
And that is like scans of the brain. This is what, shows up. So now I get 62 to 67 days. Hilary, what are you, crazy? And then I'll say, all right, how old are you?
Yeah.
I'm 50. And I said, well, you've been carrying around this limiting belief probably since you were between 5 and 10. All right. So are you willing to do something for 62 to 67 days that you've been carrying around with you that's been holding you back for 40 to 45 years? And then they'll be like,
Exactly. I love
and
it.
but ready for this? They still are like, I don't know. Just, I mean, this society today is just, everybody wants a quick hit. So
Mm.
this is where it got interesting. I went into scientifically trying to really figure out, how do I make what could take 62 to 67 days available for people to be able to use instantaneously. So like, you think about like an on-demand TV show,
Yeah.
on demand, that you could just attack and use right away. And that's where I came up with the tune in process. This is
Oh.
like the miracle. This is your like, how do I get through my day when I have so many relaunches, when things aren't going my way? And so this is what I would like to actually, if you're game, and we did not talk about this before, if you're game, can I put you through the 4-step process just so everyone knows?
Sure. Sure. I'm
You're
always
like,
game.
Hilary, what are you doing to me?
I usually
Okay.
like to prepare, but
Okay.
I'll just roll with it.
I promise you it will not be painful. At least I don't think it will be. No, everyone, if you can just write down these steps, and I will share, a very easy way to get this, but I
I
want you
love
to
it.
really get this. Okay. Tune in process. Before I start, I just want to share with you. It actually started for those that have kids, for those that have teenage kids, for those that have teenage girls. This is the origin story, okay, of this whole thing. I am a single mom, and I'm trying to, run my business. I'm trying to be able to be the Uber driver at that point. Probably not even Uber was even around, but the taxi driver to my daughter. And my daughter was definitely a mindful kid. And this one day, she was really upset about friends at school, boys at school, and really upset with her mom. Okay. In fact, I probably was number one on the list. So she loves to sing. And she comes into the car and I can just tell, is in a very, very low point, like really low. I'm like, okay, I got to do something here. And I all of a sudden was like, I wonder if I could create this game, and I did it on the fly, and it could be this thing around change the channel. And if you think about a radio and you click a button and you change the channel, right? I said to Rosie, Rosie, we're going to play this game. She's like, rolls her eyes like, Mom, you're so stupid. Like, what are you doing? And I said, here's the game. I am going to pretend to hit a button, and that will be changing the channel. And when I say, it could be genre of like rock and roll, or it could be country, or it could be a specific singer, you have to sing a song or that specific song until I change the channel. Again, this is the lamest game I've ever heard. So I said, just try it. And so we did it. And I think I said like Taylor Swift because it was one of her favorites. And so she sang it, and then I switched it and I was like Grateful Dead. And her dad was a big Dead fan. And then I did a couple more, and she was like, finally, like, this is so dumb. So I said, okay, fine. So the next time she gets in, I'm like, want to play Change the Channel? Fine. Right. You love when a kid says fine. How was your day? Fine. You want to play this game? Fine. So we started to play it, and I got a few more songs in. So then the third time we're in the car, I don't ask. She says, hey, Mom, you going to say, let's play that change the channel game? I'm like, you want me to? She's like, fine. I'm like, okay. So we played it all the way to when we dropped her off. And I'm not kidding when I say, from where she got into the car, her energy level, her mindset, her anger, depression, overwhelm, it all just faded away. Beautiful. By the time she got out. So as she was getting out that, like the last time, I'm like, oh my God, what have I created? This Change the Channel is like a godsend for me. The girl is actually asking me to drive her places. She's actually like playing along. So I don't sing, but I love to sing. Like I don't have a singing voice. Okay, I knew I liked you, but I do have to say I love karaoke. I do. And I get better if you have a couple glasses of wine. I really sound much better. But here's the thing. I couldn't imagine doing the Change the Channel in the way that I was doing it with her to kind of help me through some tough times with like people, at the office, or I'm out on the road trying to raise money or working with clients. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure people are just going to be like genuinely open to just singing. Yeah. So I ended up crafting what I'm about to share with you. And I changed the name from Change the Channel to Tune In. And the tune in process, I'm going to run you through. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That was the week. I hope you were okay with me explaining it.
I love this story. That's so great. I love this story. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, it is from my heart to yours, because it really is. I think a lot of people.
And I think it's a reminder though for us all, like we can find such gems in our life to use in a bigger way. And that's what you've done, right? So yes.
That is what, and it's all part of 3HQ.
Awesome.
Because I'm going to explain. And again, it's not going to take you 62 to 67 days. This is something that will take you 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
I am not singing on this podcast. Let me make that really clear.
Okay. No, have no fear. But it is a quick fix for you. All right. So it is, if you think about this, growth on demand. This allows you to grow quickly. It allows you to elevate yourself up. And Einstein said, you can't solve a problem at the conscious level. It was created.
That's right. So the same thinking that created the problem is not the same thinking that's going to fix it. You
can't. So what do we do when people say that? I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. I have no idea where you take that, but now I do. Awesome. And so with that, I go into step 1 of the tune-in process and I say, what is your biggest challenge? And remember, a challenge doesn't have to be negative or positive. It could be either. A challenge is something that you're going through right now. And so what's a challenge that you're going through that you would be willing to share with us right now? Business, personal,
So
whatever.
I would just say right now, I have two kids who both started new schools, or they're teens. So they're teens.
Yep. Oh gosh, you're right there with me now.
And they're both fine, but okay, so it's just like the whole juggling and getting that all involved, along with I'm doing a kitchen renovation. So my kitchen is like, I have no kitchen. And then I'm trying to, I run a Mindset Makeover Group. And so I'm trying to get that off the ground. So it's really like nothing crazy bad. I feel like all the balls are up in the air and I'm not as directed or focused as I'd like to be in this moment.
I love that you just said you have a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
Okay. So your challenge, because there's a lot there. And if I were doing this as a coaching, we would break it into the first component of this. Okay. But let's just say balls in the air. You have a lot of balls in the air. That's your challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That's head based. Challenges are head based. So I just wanted to tie this back into 3HQ, right? Your headquarters of the head, the heart, the highest self. So now we go into step 2. And yes, I did name step 2, change the channel. How do you change the channel? Right. As a woman like us who doesn't want to be singing out loud, you still use song. And I've done tons of research around it. Song, music, arts, it actually changes biochemistry. And so what I want you to be thinking about is there a song that when you hear it, it automatically takes your energy to another level? You can't be at a low level when you are hearing this song. Is there a song? And can you?
It's so funny. I have lots of songs, but one that comes immediately to mind, because I'm thinking of my teens.
Very good.
My daughter and I actually, like, I used to wake her up to this, is Hey Soul Sister by Train. And
it's the best. Okay. Oh, I love that I just got full chills because my daughter had a chance to go up on stage and do Bruises with Pat Monahan.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm like, what a great song. That is so good. Okay. So now what I want you to do, and again, you're going to hear neuroscience woven into all of this because it's so critical into really getting it to elevate you to the higher level. So what I want you to do, you have to take it in from your head. You're going to hear it in your head. You're going to bring it down your body, changing the state by your movement. You're going to hear it. You're going to make it like, kind of like in your body. And you're going to do it for 20 seconds. A lot of different numbers out there, in terms of like how long does it take to change a state? It literally takes 20 seconds. So I want you to, and on this specific podcast, we're not going to play the song out loud because of laws around music. Right. Here's the thing. If you were by yourself, Kathy, you'd be turning that on. You'd be like, let me stand up. And for 20 seconds, that's all you have to do. Okay. So, but right now I want you to take it into your head, take it all the way down to your feet, move your body. I see you smiling. But here's the thing. I want you to turn it up. Turn it up, girl. Hey, soul sister, right there. Okay. So now you're going.
I'm mouthing it.
Love it. Okay. But now 20 seconds, it's going through your body. You got about 10 more seconds. And again, everyone, this is something you can be doing before anything. You can be tuning in before your social media post, before going live, before getting on stage, before, creating your business plan, your finance plan. Okay. So Kathy, you're tuned in. We changed the channel. We're going into step 3. Step 3 is where you become a star. And this is where you create a micro movie in your mind. So you're tuning in again to Soul Sister, and you are literally feeling what it would be like to not feel like you're juggling that challenge, but to have everything in alignment, 3HQ, everything, because this now is in the heart. Right? We did the head. We did that. The second part is highest self because we're elevating ourselves to that highest self. This one is heart. So not only do I want you to emotionally feel it, I want you to see yourself, and you are wearing a color or you are seeing a color that represents you not feeling like you're juggling, but feeling like I got this covered. My kids are great. The school, the kitchen, the mindset, all these things, the courses you're teaching, everything, I got it. So now I want you to again hear that song in your mind. And now, what color are you seeing?
I'm seeing orange. I love
Okay.
orange. Yeah.
Orange. So here's what I want you to do. You're moving your body, you're hearing the song. I want you to intensify that orange.
Mm.
And as I say, I'm going to take you up from the 1x to the 2x. I want you to intensify the feeling of it as well. Not only the color orange, but the feeling. And you're going to 2x it.
Mm.
And now you're going to 5x it. It is so intense. Like, whoa. And then last but not least, 10 exit. Hair on your arms is standing up, chills. It is as good as it gets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are going, just like, you're an Academy Award winning actress right now. This is like this movie in your mind is so good, off the charts, but you need an image. You need a billboard image for Times Square. And this is where you are going to anchor this and take a photo in your mind by opening and closing your eyes with the word click. So you open, click, and close your eyes, click 3 times, click. You now have the image, the feeling, colors, maybe even sense, maybe even like anything that's coming to you. All right. That's the picture that you're now going to remind yourself when you want something around this feeling of, I got this. No balls in the air. My balls are just like in my hands. I feel good about them. Now we're going to go to step 4. You're going to tune in again to Hey Soul Sister. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of a micro action, simplest step that you could do towards step 3, that mini movie in your mind. What could you do right now, as soon as we're done with this call, as soon as we're done with your show? What could you do to create momentum? Success likes speed.
Yes.
Success likes speed. So what could you do? A small action to get you on your way to creating that movie.
I love it. You know what comes to mind? It's so funny. It's so simple. It's not even directed towards anything. Is just go walk the dog.
Okay. Brilliant. I love that you just said, like, because at some point that walking the dog is relieving you from feeling like the balls are up there, right?
Exactly. It's just taking the time. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, you know what? Chill out. I really like the music stuff, and having that in my head has shifted me. And I love the idea of walking the dog, because it's like, you know what? I got plenty of time. I can figure this out. I can be calm. I can walk the dog.
It's a new perspective. And so what I want you to do after you walk the dog is I want you to DM me, email me, whatever you prefer, but tell me, done.
Okay.
Because the biggest part is this accountability.
Yes.
Like, you got this, but I'm also going to hold you to it.
Got it.
This isn't, and what I want you to think about every time now that you are moving towards feeling like, I got this. I don't have the balls in the air. I got this. You are going to tune in again to that song, Hey Soul Sister. Yeah. And that song is going to also trigger you to go through this. That's why everyone can become a master, right? Yes. I'm going to certify all of you right now. You're all certified. You start, it may take you 2 or 3 minutes. Like I just walked you through it, but it gets faster and faster. And a question I often get, before I say the question, I just want to go through the 4 steps again. It's number 1 is the challenge or your intention. Number 2 is change the channel with the song for 20 seconds. Step 3 is the micro movie where you feel it, it's done. You got this, you got the color, you're 10xing it all the way. And then you're clicking by anchoring in the picture, the image, like it's being seared into your brain that this is the way it is, because your subconscious does not know the difference between what is reality and not.
Yes.
It's the greatest part. Yes. And then step 4 is that micro action.
Yes. I love it.
Now, what I get is, so Hilary, do I use the same song if I'm now going and I want to up level and I want to scale my business? That's a huge focus right now with year end coming. I get a lot of like, I want to grow my business from 6 to 7 figures. What I want you to do is pick a different song.
Okay.
And so you may have 5 songs that are your
Got it.
go-to songs. And one is labeled, hey, that overwhelm, balls in the air, boom, I got that. That's Soul Sister. But then the next one might be revenue generating.
Yes.
And that could be, Katy Perry, and it might be, one of her songs. And then you can go into really like having your pocket list. And I call this your pocket power tool, the tune in pocket power tool. And what I want you to really be thinking about is that people will say, how long before I could truly master this? And I ask you this, if you were to do this even once a day, this very quick, in 7 days, you would have accomplished 7 micro actions. So now let's say you do it 3 times a day. You're at 21. Imagine you then look at it up until year end or quarter end or month end. How much further would you be in
Yes.
getting that reality of that mini movie in your mind to take place?
I
And
love
so
it.
what I do is I do it before every single calendar that I have something on my calendar. I will literally tune in. Before I came on the show, I tuned in and I will elevate. And what was I tuning into? I was elevated to the level of setting my intention. If I can just impact one person, if one person resonates with tune in and they
Yes.
go do that, that's awesome. And so I take it through the whole process, but I can do it in literally less than a minute. I still
That's
do
so
the
awesome. What's your song? You got to know your
Okay.
song.
As you can imagine, I've got quite a few songs. And the one song that I always do before I go onto a stage, before I do a podcast, before I do a keynote, is always Helen Reddy, I Am Woman.
Love it.
Is that so crazy? Now, not all of my songs are from like, the 1960s or 70s, but that one, if you ever read the words, it
Love
is
it.
such an empowerment. I am invincible. I am strong. You can bend, but never break
Break
me.
me. Yeah. It's such a great
Right?
song.
It's such a great song. And,
Yes.
and so that's the thing. But I do have randoms that I do once in a while. Like I'll just be goofy. I'll be like, I got to elevate. I'm really in a crappy mood. I've had like I need to like do a little extra here. And so, gosh, it was about a month ago and I was going on someone's podcast and I knew I was low. There were some things that had just happened with my family. And I was like, ah. And so I thought, what song do I need to hear? And all of a sudden, the song that came into my head was, you put the lime in the coconut and mix it all up. So I am in the middle, and the host did what you just did. So what was what's your song? What was the song that you came on? I'm like, I got bright red in my cheeks, and I'm like, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you what I did. And I said, it is not my go-to song. I did it because I just wanted to really elevate myself. And I said, you put the lime in the coconut. And I mean, I couldn't stop the laughter. It was so, and laughter is so infectious that he started to laugh. I started to laugh. And I mean, oh God, it was so
Oh, that's brilliant. And I love these steps and they're so simple. I think this is brilliant. I love it. And I think what you're saying too, right? It's so important to change our energy. And these steps really help us do that, and
well, and
really connecting to that.
if you're trying to manifest something and you
Yes.
don't have it, you got to elevate yourself. So every time you're starting to work on that specific goal, priority, intention, you want to be at a high level. You don't want to come
Yes.
at it like, I just got to get this done.
And I know you've talked about this before, but we can't just think our way through things sometimes. Our brains are wonderful tools, but it's not just all analysis to achieve things, right?
You're literally hardwired the subconscious to keep you safe and
Yeah.
familiar with your ways, familiar with your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
if you're sitting here trying to crack the code on your business and get to the next level, get more leads, get more, notoriety, get more impact, and you haven't been able to accomplish it, you gotta crack the code. And the only
Mhm.
way, it's like I say, Gen X a lot because the X marks the spot that today
Mm.
is your relaunch day, your
Mm.
relaunch time for whatever this challenge is, and say, you know what? I want more.
Mhm.
And this business of, well, if you say, I deserve it, well, actually, yeah, you do. I mean, well, deserve, because if you're thinking that this is something that would add value, would impact, would be more passion behind what you're doing, then put the X, mark the
Yes.
spot. There's always with the rocket relaunch, there's always the launch pad, and there's always that like X in the middle where that's where the rocket's going to go,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so I want you to really be thinking, everyone out there listening, that we always talk about, well, yeah, that's going to be my goal for next year. No, right now, that's why Tune In is so great, because you literally can start, everyone can start right after this call. If you didn't just do it with me, you can literally do this right away, and it will. And can I tell you one other little quick?
Of course.
So I was being interviewed last Friday, and the woman got on, and she was the host, and I could just tell the energy was off. And I'm sure you've had this happen where you're like, you just know it's not good. And so we're talking and chit chatting, as we always do before we hit that record button. And I said, can I do something with you? I just think it might set everything off on, the right foot. And she's like, well, okay. So I take her through the tune in process. And at the end, she's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I said, but you know what? You have a micro action to go do. And it was a little bit more than just, it's kind of like go walk the dog, right? That could take, at a minimum, the least 15 minutes or so, right? I said, let's reschedule. Go do that. But because we're going to reschedule, I want you to do it 3 times today. 3 times
Mm.
I want you to go through Tune In. And each time I want you to then send me a DM with just done. I'm telling you, by the third time, she's like, this is the greatest process. I'm doing this every day. I can't believe it. Over the weekend, I got the same. She's like, I'm this is it. And
I love it.
I'm not at liberty to share what her challenge was, but she thought it would take her at least 3 weeks to hit it.
Mm.
And I bet within 4 days she hit it. And
Amazing.
the reason I say that is because I haven't gotten it today, but I have a feeling today was the day that she hit it. So
Oh my God,
I'm just
that's
telling you,
amazing.
yes. So do it like me now, where I mean, if I don't do it at a minimum 10 times, I'm like, was there something wrong with me? Was I off today? Did I not have enough, things on my schedule? What was going on? And I think the most I've ever done it right now is 25.
I love it. And it's so simple. And
So
it's such
simple.
so many of us get stuck in the seriousness of life and like
Yeah.
oh my God, gotta do, or we're in our heads, that this really takes you out of it and changes your energy. So I think it's just really great. I hope our listeners try it. I hope they find your book, Relaunch. Where can people buy it?
Well, actually, they can go to my website. And first off, I want to say it's just therelaunch.com. Therelaunch.com. You can find a 3HQ quiz on there, which will tell
Nice.
you where you are in your head. And then also, you can buy the book, and it's just Relaunch Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life on Amazon.
Beautiful. And how else can people find you and follow you?
So, what I'd really love is everybody who's listening, either head on over to where you provide all of the notes and just let us know what you did. Head on over to both of us, tag us both, and let us know that you did, and whatever you did, because there's like, hey, celebrate. We all want to celebrate. That's another one of my favorite songs, Celebration.
I love it.
Let's celebrate together. because that's kind of
Yes.
like it's a new, and I really do call it, this is a peak performance. The elite are doing this now. I mean, that's the
Yes.
craziest. Every single person I coach is doing this now multiple times a day. And
I
I
love
even
it.
said, I haven't seen one person. You can't mess it up, by the way. You really can't. But I haven't seen one person that hasn't come back and been like, okay, kind of crazy how it really works. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love it. Well, I think it's brilliant. I hope everyone tries it. Check out your book. Is there anything else you want to share? I have so many other questions. I'd love maybe in 6 months or whatever year, come back on the podcast.
I just, what I really want people to have as a takeaway is that we overcomplicate everything,
Mm,
right? I mean, everything. Our businesses, our personal life, where we are, what we're supposed to be doing, our family. And let's keep it simple. Relaunch is not about complexity, right? If you think about that rocket on the launch pad, they literally spark, one spark
yes,
ignites
yes.
that engine to take. And, they say 60 to 70% of all of the fuel is used just to get it off the ground.
Mm,
Well, that's what we're doing right now. It's just
mm.
once you try it, once you do even the simple step, then you can come find me and we can go through the belief blaster and get to the real, the underlying root of so much more in the 62 to 67 day, bug blaster, the belief blaster. But even if we just do this is your power source. Just
Mm.
plug into you.
Plug into
And
you and you're raising your energy and connecting to our highest selves, because I believe, and certainly when we're at our higher selves, we do want to serve. We do want joy in our life, right? We want to serve with joy, and we want to have purpose.
no doubt. And purpose is up at that highest self in the
Correct.
3HQ.
Yeah. And
That's
it doesn't
where,
have to be heavy and overwhelming. It can start really small, and it makes our whole world better. I'm sure as you agree.
yeah, I do agree. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, well, Hilary, this has been such a joy, and you've offered such great tips. I'm going to go walk my dog.
And then you're going to DM me
I'll
and say
DM
done,
you. I
say done.
promise. I will.
Yeah. And Kathy,
Um,
thank you. Cause it was so fun. The joy, the just like, it's so great when the messages resonate. Cause, you and I cut from the same cloth here. And I think it's really, it's so great to get a chance to spend this time with you.
oh, my list of questions gone. But all
We'll do
good.
it again.
No, it was so fun, and really you have great stuff and such an impressive background as a woman leader. I hate to even add women leader, but
I'm
truly,
okay with it. I'm like,
yeah,
absolutely. I am a woman and, hear me roar, right?
no, and it's just like, and then you're doing such great work in the world. So thank you so much, and wish you continued success, and let's stay connected.
I would love that. Thanks again.